All right. Thanks everybody for being here. This is the April Dallas Division Luncheon Vendor Panel. I'd like to thank our 2021 year-long partners, Facets Appliances, Kitchens and Baths, Prosperity Bank, Foxworth Galbraith Lumber Company, Riddell Plumbing, and Main Street Millwork. The Dallas Division is excited to announce that we will be back at Maggiano's North Park for in-person meetings beginning in June. Please check out the calendar for more details on that. We're about to start the webinar, but just a quick reminder, we'll be taking questions for this program. Please put any questions you have in the Q&A. You can find that feature at the bottom of your screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the program. Also, this webinar will be recorded and made available on Dallas BA's YouTube channel and on Facebook. All right, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Michael Turner of Classic Urban Homes, and our panelists, Garrett Cockrell of Big D Lumber, Eric Hadley of Facets Home, Oscar Munoz of Proficient Concrete, John Pascal of Merrick Brothers, and Daryl Smith of Anderson Windows. And now I'll pass it over to Michael Turner to begin the program.
Awesome. First off, I want to thank everyone for hopping on our luncheon and our Zoom call here. Hopefully in the next month or two. Well, actually, we do know in June we'll start meeting face to face again, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of you guys live. Appreciate everyone being here. I know everybody is super busy. If you're not busy right now, you're not in this industry. So everybody's putting out multiple fires, but appreciate you guys coming on and taking the time to kind of help answer some of these questions. And again, as Richard alluded to, if you have additional questions, please submit those in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer or to ask the panelists those questions. So, got a list of questions from each one of these categories, and what I'll do is I'll just start and kind of go down the list here. We'll run through these, and anybody else, as I mentioned, please submit any questions as we go along. So first question I've got here is going to be in the lumber category. Boy, as we know, this is probably the commodity has been on the wildest ride this past year. And so first question is, Garrett, where do you see the foreseeable future for lumber prices, material supply and demand? Do you see it leveling off anytime in the near future?
As of right now, we are seeing a little bit of relief on the yellow pine market, at least on the 2x6, 2x8, 2x10 market. Studs are very hard to come by. Finger joint is becoming it has been an issue. It's becoming even more of an issue based on raw materials. I think our biggest problem right now is your OSB products, your CDXs, all your panels, pretty much unavailable. They've taken all the radiant barriers off the market. They say we might not see another radiant barrier production line even come back up until probably the middle to the end of the summer, which that in turn has put a huge damper on the regular OSB market, and the prices have jumped up tremendously. I mean, I can go right now and buy a sheet of OSB at Home Depot and Lowe's for $45 a sheet, but I can go to the mills and buy a whole rail car of OSB, and it's $50 to $52 a sheet right now. They're pretty much getting whatever price they want, and the production lines, I'm getting stuff in when I'm ordering it. They're 3 to 4 weeks behind right now getting me my product. When it shows up, it's been manufactured the day it's delivered. So at the present time, I don't see any leveling off. The problem is there's just not near enough supply for the demand that's out there. There's houses sitting all over town. I know for us right now, I bet I've got 40 to 50 houses right now back ordered of just OSB and radiant barrier that nobody can get in. Has a lot to do with the glue that happened on the East Coast to glue on the radiant barrier on that. But then you got the resins and everything that's involved in putting all the product together. With that being said, Advantech right now, the zip walls completely off the market. We used to be able to buy as many trucks as we wanted, buy on up to Thursday, we'd get it the next week. We tried to buy six truckloads for Richardson, 6 truckloads for Hazlitt. The earliest that I will get any zip wall will be the end of May. And they're saying the earliest I'll get Advantech will be probably the first week of June. Won't even quote it. It's price time of shipment at the present time. So right now, availability and seeing any decline in the unforeseen future is, I wish I had a crystal ball and say, yeah, everything's going to be perfect. I mean, I wanted to start off this meeting and say, hey, I wanted to come in and say, hey, everything's dropping. Everything's going to be great. Within 2 weeks, everybody's going to be back to normal. But no, everybody knows that that's not the truth. So I couldn't really start off an April Fool's joke that way with the way things are going right now. So.
Yeah. So if you could just, Garrett, comment a little bit on the resins, because we've heard some issues with this. I mean, where are these resins manufactured, and why is there a shortage of these resins all of a sudden?
Well, it happened during the big freeze, the big storm that we had. When they lost power, all these resins are made, most of the resins are made at one place. All the glues are pretty much made at one place, somewhere on the East Coast, where they ship it in to get these guys all their materials. And when the power was cut down and shut off, all these resins went bad because they didn't have the heat or anything to make all the products, stay good during difficult times.
Okay. All right. Makes some sense. We don't like it, but we understand it a little bit better now. So,
well, and you got another thing also with the plywood. They had on all the CDX mills where Boise and Weyerhaeuser gets all their CDX. The roof collapsed on that, and they're completely down on production for probably 6 months.
Yeah, no, you and I have had some conversations with that. It's just basically we're kind of dealing with a perfect storm right now for sure.
And it just keeps getting, worse and worse by the day.
Yeah. All right. Next category, windows. Daryl, this one is for you. We've seen a lot of demand for black windows, dark bronze or black windows in our markets. Very, very popular. It seems like some of the vinyl products have not, weathered as well with that. We better, started with some of those vinyl clad windows are issues with, warping and things like that. Do you see any new or innovative products, coming to the market, or, other options, for builders that are looking for black windows?
Yeah, good question, Michael. And I think not to piggyback what Garrett was talking about, on the window side, we're seeing the same supply chain upsets as it relates to PVC. So just to give the members some notification, the vinyl plants in Texas and Alabama that produce the PVC and plastic parts for a lot of components are affecting lead times on windows. So just want to give everybody that heads up. And then as it relates to dark colors, that trend has been going for a while, and it's going to continue. We're going to continue to see it in the foreseeable future. What we're seeing is that when you add paint to a white vinyl window, and no offense to the manufacturers that do that, there isn't a real good process for stabilization. Window temperatures in Texas can exceed 150 degrees, sometimes 160 degrees. So manufacturers are trying to figure out a way to add foil, some of the paint that will adhere. But when you add a dark color and you get the sun setting on the west side and the south side, that it's gonna twist that material because it's not as stable. So the clad windows, fiberglass, composite type products that are made of wood fiber and polymers and fiberglass as well with a painted process will hold up and be stable, a lot more stable because they have capstocks or paint on them on the rigid material. So that's the trend. Obviously we see the what goes on the market with budgets. Sometimes the budgets aren't set or properly looked at when you're looking at, and they're those type of projects. You're looking at vinyl window, and somebody wants they got a $5,000 budget. Well, a composite product may come back twice that price, right? So but the other thing is, from a lead time standpoint, the lead times are being affected on the vinyl companies as well right now. We're seeing 18 to 20 weeks on some some manufacturers, and not all of them, but the lead times are causing people to make that change and continue with the dark color trend as well. And I don't see that changing anytime soon, because of the mixture of exterior and interior colors, light color contrast, and a lot of single materials going on, versus brick and stucco. Now we're starting to see some of that, where it's single panels, Nichiha, that type of stuff. We're seeing those trends come from California and from the East, and not that we're not seeing it here. It's just we'll see that as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, with the color choices that the people in Architect are specking out now, it'll help the industry to innovate a little bit and give us some more options in the future.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. Next one's for you. Appliances. What do you see coming down the foreseeable future as far as technology demand? What's the popular appliances or features in appliances that people are asking for now?
I feel like it's a softball a little bit compared to the lumber conversation and window conversation.
I'm just warming you up. We got some hard hitting ones coming.
All right, fair enough. But really, I think the major trend, the thing that's been asked for the most right now is, what do you have in stock? I mean, that's inventory is in short supply, but as it comes to technology, I mean, the Wi-Fi connected appliances over the last 4 or 5 years, more and more manufacturers have started, adding that connected product into their connected technology into their products. So it's not just remote on-off start, things like that. It goes down into service and being able to promote, just basically an error code, if you will. If there's a problem with a product, it pings into their servers and lets them know exactly what the issue is, what error code, helps them remotely diagnose potentially what that issue is with that product. But it's also pairing products together, like a cooktop and a hood. You turn a cooktop on and the hood automatically comes on. So you get that ventilation started. It might even be something like a refrigerator with a screen on it connecting to a Ring doorbell. So when the doorbell goes off, the video plays on the refrigerator. There's things like that in technology that are becoming more and more popular. Another trend is kind of going back to that top load washer and dryer versus a front load washer and dryer. A lot of that has to do with people have had front load laundry, maybe dispense too much soap into that laundry, and that detergent smells good out of the box, but you mix it with some water, you put too much in there and it turns to sludge, and it's just nasty if you don't dispense the proper amount of detergent into those front load systems. So a lot of that's consumer education and just getting information out there about, hey, we've got a mentality of more is better, and that's not always the case. So, a couple of tablespoons of detergent's plenty. And the custom homes, luxury homes, we're seeing colors as an option. On ranges particularly, people are asking for that. Just some different, different options. Brands like Blue Star, Bertazzoni, Heston, Fulgor, Milano, and others are starting to launch more and more colors into their products for custom homes, custom homeowners. Refrigeration, we're seeing a trend away from built-in refrigerators and more into columns. Offers you more flexibility with where you put those refrigerators, how big the space, how much capacity, how they integrate into cabinets is also a huge thing when it comes to the columns. If you're putting panels on a refrigerator, it just makes it look like another piece of cabinet material, a cabinet door, if you will. So in multifamily, I've been asked multiple times about low voltage systems. So appliances that can run on, 24 volts through solar panel, battery backup systems. There's really nothing off the shelf right now in the industry that does that. but there are some manufacturers that are focusing on inverter technology, which is basically variable speed pumps, variable speed motors, that allow you to run off of those lower voltage systems. And there are companies out there that are converting some products, off-the-shelf products, into low voltage systems.
Okay. All right. All right. Good stuff. Did you hear that, folks? Not only are you getting information on what appliances to buy, Eric is helping you figure out how to get stains out of your clothes at the same time.
Wear a white shirt today, right?
I think that a little extra tidbit right there. So, all right, next one up is concrete. We'll go to the concrete category. So, we're hearing some scary stuff in the last couple of days, Oscar, with shortages of cement, Portland cement, and just the local manufacturers not even being able to, keep up with demand. Can you kind of, are you hearing the same thing too? And can you kind of give us an idea in the foreseeable future, what we're looking at?
Sure. This is what we have experiencing right now. On a steel, we haven't pretty much, we do takeoffs every week, and we're experiencing increases every month on the steel, but not that much. Same as on lumber. But starting on April, we're going to experience a big increase on post-tension materials and concrete materials. So we're going to see a really increase on the concrete and the post-tension material starting on April. Based on the shortage, we don't see any shortage on steel, lumber, and post-tension, but they're talking about concrete shortages in the next couple months. So we're going to experience a thin shortage on the cement for the next couple months. They're talking they're not going to open plants on Saturdays. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, we're going to have to wait probably 3 to 4 days to get a concrete order.
Okay, I know we went through that last year where it seems like you had to get in line, 2 weeks, get in line for 2 weeks for a pour date. And say if you missed an inspection or something, you go back to the back of the line. It didn't just move you back a day, but so on the concrete side, let's kind of break that down. So is it problems with, is it aggregate, is it sand, or is it the actual, Portland cement itself that you're seeing?
Talking about the issue right now is the cement.
Cement.
Yeah, they're getting hard time to get cement.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
And also another issue that we're experiencing right now, I don't know if you are the same, is the permits with the city of Dallas. They are really behind, and we're experiencing around 3 or 4 weeks to get a permit to pour a paving, to do a flat work. That's getting us, putting us behind also. I don't know if you're experiencing the same situations.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us builders that are on this Zoom call have definitely experienced that, and that's where hopefully everybody's seeing that the Dallas Builders Association has been front and center on the news as much as they possibly can, pushing the city of Dallas to use third-party plan reviewers to help push those permits through faster. But now the issues we run into is we get our permits, and then we have trouble getting concrete to get the foundation poured. And then we get it poured. Garrett can't get his lumber to the job, and Daryl can't get his windows. And but Eric helps us get stains out, so it's all better. So
Michael, this is Ramon here. I'm here with Oscar and Proficient Concrete.
Yes, sir.
I would like to add to that concrete issue that's going to be in the next couple of months. We're figuring, or they're telling us that basically it's going to last 2 to 3 months. Okay, but we're not certain of that because we can't talk or we can't speak to them. But we're hearing this not from one supplier, but various suppliers that actually supply for us. So as far as the demand, I'm pretty sure it's temporary. And also we're gonna have an issue like Oscar is saying. On the city of Dallas, we have permit issues that have 2 or 3 weeks waiting time. Just getting that on schedule to pour, we have to move it. you're right. If we move that forward, we might not get the next day time slot. It might be 1, 2, or even 3 weeks during that time period they're going to be shortage on. So, but as far as we know, it's just temporary, and it should be back on track in the next couple or 3 months.
Hopefully.
Okay, all right. That's helpful. So, well, we did have a question. Just if you would just make sure that you're a little bit closer to the mic when you speak there, so that we can hear you clearly. All right. Next question is for you, Mr. Pascal. What are you doing to keep up with drywall material supply and delivery demands? You know, how has COVID affected, you know, kind of the supply and demand side on your side?
Well, actually, COVID has been a part of the issue. It's affected the plants, which has slowed down production for them. They're in addition to COVID, coal-fired power plants are being converted to natural gas. They used to use the ash from the coal as a synthetic drywall, and that's gone away. That's added to the raw material shortages that they've run into. There's also shipping concerns or shipping issues. They have lack of trucks, higher fuel prices. You know, there's a bunch of factors that come into it. One that has recently impacted everything was storm damage. The amount of damage that some of these plants have not just drywall plants, but mud plants. And you spoke about resin earlier, all the byproducts that go into these products that we use were affected by the storm. So it's kind of become a snowball effect. So what we're doing, what Merrick's done to keep up with this as best we can is we don't have all our eggs in one basket. We have good relationships with all the suppliers in DFW, and you know, we have good relationships. We've been loyal during good times, and it's historically has paid off for us in bad times. So when drywall was on allocation long before I was in the business, you know, it was something that was manageable, and we got through it. So it's a tough time. Drywall material, everything, drywall, mud, everything is going up. We've had 2 price increases so far this year. One today, happy April Fool's Day. And we're hearing rumors of 2 more this year, which is unheard of. Our quotes that we're getting are 30-day quotes. You know, they used to be for the year. So this it's the first time in my career that I've seen 30-day quotes for drywall in residential drywall. So definitely different.
Yeah, definitely seems like there's a supply and demand issue, but it also seems like, you know, the construction industry is good and things are rock and roll, and maybe some of these manufacturers are taking a little bit of advantage of that.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I have been told that plants aren't manned to 100%. They're calling it a controlled distribution. So I think you can call it what you will, but we all know what the story is.
Yeah, yes, sir. Garrett and I have had some hot sports opinions on this in the past. So,
right.
Garrett, we'll bounce back to you. You know, the sheet goods are obviously a big concern right now. You know, you talked about some of the shortages and whatnot in getting you know, OSB, and you know, right now, I mean, I'm not aware of any other alternative for decking a house other than you know, than OSB in the residential market. I know in sheathing a house, you know, we've got some different options and whatnot out there. how are some of the, the insulated sheathing, some of the, the foam boards and things like that? You having any supply issues with alternative sheathing methods? And then maybe what are some of those alternatives?
Well, we are seeing, just based on the price of OSB, when it did start going up, everybody started looking at alternative usages for sheathing. A lot of the guys went from OSB or zip down to a RMAX structural sheathing or an RMAX, some kind of insulated foam, a dowel or anything like that. They've went to thermoplies. I've got some guys, crazy enough, high-end guys in Highland Park changed an entire house from 7/16 OSB to do red thermoply, saved them $8,000 to $9,000 on a house. They're going to brick it, they wrap it in Tyvek or a house wrap, and they go down the road. That has caused an issue on not only with the thermoplies and the thermosheet type products, because now there's a shortage on that product, but now they can't get the cardboard to make the thermoplies and the structural sheathings because Amazon has bought up every bit of cardboard that's on the market, and you can't get it to produce the sheathing products that we need. So it is becoming a catch-22 on all that. OSB being an issue, causing an issue with thermoply. I used to buy direct truckload coming from Virginia. It'd be here in 7 to 10 days. I ordered stuff in the middle of January. I saw my first truck land yesterday. The foam boards, they can produce the foam, but then they can't produce the structural part of it because they don't have the cardboard to do the structural part. So that's become an issue there as well. We're just learning a lot of things. A lot of people doing lead-in bracing, Simpson straps, doing a non-structural sheathing on the outside, doing Simpson strong straps on the inside, and just trying to get by with anything we can just to get the houses built right now. But once you get up through the walls, you're waiting on roof deck, you're kind of at a stopping point if nobody has any product. There for a while, I was able to buy half-inch CDX or 5/8 CDX for cheaper when I was paying for 7/16 OSB until the roof collapsed on all the CDX plants. So we're doing everything we can to supply our guys. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've went and spent $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on my personal credit card over the last month, buying from Home Depot and Lowe's just to get product on the ground for the guys that we do business with. Just trying to pull anything we possibly can just to keep everybody going.
Yeah, it's definitely a crazy market. I've been in this industry for going on 37 years now, and definitely haven't seen anything like this before. So the only thing I took out of that is maybe what we need to do is start saving our Amazon boxes, and we can start maybe using them for non-structural sheet on the outside of our house.
Yeah, and it is. It's getting a little bit better, but they're coming up with alternative ways to make that product, but it's costing a premium. I mean, just the other day, they've got a new product. Like Thermoply just came out with a new product. It's a premium product, not using the cardboard that they used to use, but they went up $30 to $40 a thousand, which right now, $30 to $40 a thousand on that product, it's nothing compared to what we're seeing on the OSB side. I mean, I always thought if we ever paid over $25 a sheet for OSB, it was crazy. And I've got some trucks coming in at almost $50 a sheet now.
Yeah.
It's and they say that we might not ever see OSB down to less than $25 a sheet ever again.
Wow. It seems like it's definitely the perfect timing in the market for, companies to get innovative and to come up with alternative, solutions to keep this thing going. So it'd be a shame that the economy is good and the market is good, and what kills the market is lack of materials or pricing of materials. But it seems like that's where we're headed.
Well, just like John talked about on the sheetrock, him and I are both caught in the middle. I mean, we're the bad guys in this whole situation. There's no easy way to come to all the builders and say, I'm getting charged this. We are stuck in the middle. We're getting charged for what we have to pay for it. But I do think there is some backdoor stuff that's going on that they're keeping the price up. Yellow pine fell $100. next thing you know, everybody turns around and says, you know what, they've been running pretty hard for the last 6 months. We're going to have to shut down and retool a couple of plants just to keep everything up and going, to keep the price right back up where they had it.
Yeah. All right, Daryl, next one is for you. So I think this is a very specific question, and hopefully you have an answer, because we probably have a builder that has experienced this. So anything window companies can do or recommend to a builder to keep the sun rays from reflecting off of windows and melting artificial turf?
Well, yeah, that's interesting, because the same thing goes on with vinyl siding in the Northeast. I spent a lot of time up there, and the reflectivity of the low E 270, just the basic low E glass, does that. And you can see it. The temperatures of that artificial turf can get to 175 to 200 degrees. So, you know, some of the options that are available are solar control glass, you know, as well. But, you know, the question is, are they going to pay for it? You know, and how does that change the look of the exterior envelope? That's always the question. The low E 366 glass that Cardinal, you know, and the other suppliers use today, prevent 66% of the UV rays from coming through. But they've got, you know, because of where we are in this part of the country, it's required to meet code. So that the challenge is the anti-glare film. You know, people will add that if it's in certain areas. Now, typically it's not, you know, all over the place. It's, you know, usually orientated to a certain area. So you can change glass configurations or technology, you know, the type of insulated glass you're using. And the other thing is to look at the orientation of your project. You know, where is that turf going to be, and how is your building design set up, you know, as well. We would see it in U-shaped or corner L-shaped homes, you know, in the Northeast on the vinyl siding, and it did the same thing. It melted the vinyl siding. So it's, you know, it's the reflectivity in that low E glass, and it's every manufacturer. You know, it doesn't matter whose windows they are. You know, that stuff's going to happen. So commonly people are applying films, Michael, to answer the question. You know, aftermarket films, just in those areas to help eliminate that. You know, technology wise, they're moving on glass. You know, there's some new stuff coming, you know, from a coating standpoint, you know, to get to 4 levels of coating for low E. You know, the question is, in Texas, do we need that? Other parts of the country could use it to help improve the U values, but I think so, you know, maybe with some help on the design side, if you're working with an architect or a designer, you know, maybe some work there, you know, as well, as far as orientation of the, you know, of the structure or that specific area, you know, to eliminate it. But you're probably, if the turf is being used, which I see a lot of it being used, you know, you're going to have to apply a film, change the glass. That's pretty much, or change the orientation. Those are kind of your options. You know?
All right, so it sounds like that a film could be done kind of as a retrofit. The house is done, the glass is in. You could potentially install a film on that glass that would help keep it from reflecting as much. Then
Sure, anti-glare film, and there are I mean, it's not something that, you know, we as a manufacturer, Cardinal, or, you know, some of the glass manufacturers do, but they're the local folks that do your car, you know, you know, the tint on your car windows that people add.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, but there are glass folks that do that. They also apply, you know, when somebody misses obscure or they miss a tempered, there's films that you can apply to products if you've missed it on a project, or I needed, you know, obscure area and I don't want to change the window or wait for the window to come in because lead times are long. You can get film locally to help on that as well. So
yeah, I know I do that a lot with a frosted film on that. So I guess that leads me to ask: does that affect the manufacturer's warranty on any of these products if you apply film to them?
yeah, I mean, typically, if you look at any window manufacturer, at least as it relates to major clad window manufacturer, any application of a film it voids Cardinal's warranty is the big supplier that typically voids it. We don't like to see that because of the heat, depending on where it is. If it allows heat buildup, that can cause seal failures to happen. So you could order, and then it goes down to cost. Are you willing to order a solar control glass, for the project? And how does that look? It's a darker, it almost, has a low reflectivity of about 11%. So you can order that stuff, but I always question, is somebody gonna, pay for it? That's really what I see when it comes down to budgets. I mean, that's the question. I'm not going to get that option. I'll just, worry about I'll do something aftermarket. So.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. Headley, next question for you. I've definitely gotten some emails personally over the last couple of weeks that, we're having long lead times on some of the, higher end appliances, like crazy stuff, like 5 to 6 month lead times in, higher end refrigerators or ranges. What's the cause of that? And, are you seeing that across all manufacturers and all price points, or is it just the high-end stuff that you guys are experiencing these long lead times?
It's across the board for the most part. It's not just high end. Generally speaking, though, the COVID protocols and things like that, these manufacturers have all addressed all of that. So that's no longer an issue. What we're dealing with right now is really, like Garrett mentioned, John and Daryl too, it's resins, it's plastics, it's foams, the refrigeration, what insulates it is foam. And so it's a lot of the same type of resins that are pumped into the sidewalls of these refrigerators. And that's really, I think, one of the biggest things of US based manufacturers. And I'm gonna stress the US based, North American based manufacturers, because it is a global industry. You've got manufacturing happening in Germany, Turkey, South Korea, there's Mexico, but obviously Mexico, United States, Canada, those manufacturers are struggling because of the freeze in Texas and the resins that the petroleum industry produces. They were all shut down for a lot of them are still shut down. The petroleum refinement plants are still shut down. They're not able to produce resins. There's a lot of safety concerns with taking those volatile chemicals, pumping them back through pipes that are exposed to the outside elements. If any of those have been punctured, we end up with a situation like West, down in West a few years ago where the chemical explosion happened. They're all trying to mitigate those risks. So foam is a huge aspect of why you're seeing refrigeration be such a hot commodity. Beyond that, you've got electronic board chips, even Ford, GM, Toyota, a lot of the auto manufacturers are having to produce products, and they're just sitting either not putting in particular chipsets that they can get away with, or Ford's producing products, and they're storing them in their yard, and they're actually putting chips in as they become available. So they're not stopping production, but they can't finish the build. It's the same thing with a lot of these appliance manufacturers. We've gone to smart technology. It requires the chips. So yeah, you're seeing some delays based on that too. But there are some bright spots. Some of the manufacturers in terms of inventory that are less impacted by the more localized or regionalized refineries. Europe, Southeast Asia, those manufacturers aren't as affected by these resins and these chemicals as we have been based on this recent freeze.
Man, guys, remember when this industry used to be fun?
There are some manufacturers out there though that do have inventory. So it's They may not be the legacy brands that we're used to. They may not be the products that we've used for years and years and years. They're up and coming brands. They're brands that haven't been necessarily looked at as this is the go-to. But because of that, that demand for those go-to products, it's a new opportunity for a lot of these brands that aren't as widely known to come in and, save the day, make some closings, hit some dates, and, get people moved into their homes.
Yeah, it's like I was alluded to earlier. It definitely seems like it's a good time for innovation in a lot of our industries. It seems like we've done the same thing for forever, and maybe this is going to push some technological changes going forward. And like you said, maybe some new players in the market as well. So a little competition never hurt anybody, right?
That's true.
Yeah. All right, back to Proficient. A lot of us on this Zoom call are custom builders, and from the time that we meet with a client, start bidding a job out, it may be 3 or 4 months from the time that we give them a bid to the time we start the house. Everything is super volatile. Right now lumber, is probably the most volatile, and it's really difficult to quote a custom built job when you don't know what lumber is going to cost in 90 days. But for Proficient guys, it sounds like you're seeing modest increases on steel and some of the other materials. What would you give me a percentage if I'm bidding a job right now, foundation wise, and I know that I'm 60 to 90 days out? What's a factor that I should use? I mean, is it 10%? Is it 15%? I mean, is it higher than that?
Well, like you said, material wise goes up, and once we submit a proposal and during the time we start a foundation, we keep that price that we submit at, but price increases go from 5 to 10% each month, but it varies. I mean, I've seen it where some of the months been higher than the others, and some of the other months been lower than the actual last month. So it varies on price, but if we submit a bid, let's say today for a new start, we keep that price till you start the project. That's what we try to do. But I mean, we're open to kind of discuss if there's a very high price increase. If you take more than 2 to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to start a project, I mean, we got to understand that some of these suppliers, they give us price lists for 30 days. And every 30 days, they adjust the price. Either or, you got to keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, it definitely makes it scary to bid. A lot of us I know on here do fixed cost, projects. And if you're not going to start that project for 60, 90 days, imagine having to take everything across the board and figure it's going to cost you 10% more the next month. And if it takes you 3 months to start that project, you're going to add 30% to the cost of that house. That's hard. That's a hard number to sell to clients, but it's definitely the wild, wild west we live in. I guess kind of the same thing, Garrett, I'll ask you that question as well. I mean, I know right now we can't really you can't lock number prices for us any more than, it seems like about 10 days is where we're at, because every time you get another truckload, it's that much more. I mean, what are you telling us builders as we're bidding these projects? Is there a percentage number that you're recommending we use from the time you give me a bid to when I can start the project?
Well, we're still doing the same thing like we always have been. We're still holding. We're doing a 30-day list on everybody. And I'm keeping it that way. We've been doing it that way. I'm just finished out the month of March to start into April. And I tell you what, some of the houses we started at the 1st of March and we're shipping deckings at the end of March. There was a lot of tickets that went out at about a negative 30, 35% by the time the house was actually done. We are still trying to hold prices with all of our customers, and that's why we haven't really taken on any new customers based on, the supply issue, the demand issue. And and just being able to try to control a little bit of our costs for the customers that have been with us since, you know, that we've always been accustomed to. I mean, people are jumping ship left and right these days just to get any product they can get their hands on. I mean, I bet since November, we've turned down probably 30 to 40 builders, and I bet I've turned down 200 jobs, just telling people, and you wouldn't be amazed of how upset people get when you tell them you just can't quote them a job right now. But to get back to your question about price increases, it's all over the board. I mean, I'm doing a house for Guy and Allen right now that we bid it in December. The house is $103,000. We started it in March. It was $167,000.
Wow.
If we started in April, it probably went up to about $185,000. I would say we just from probably March to April, we probably saw an 18 to 22% increase.
Yeah.
And we, I would love to say one of these days when somebody calls and says, or I can send a guy a bid and say, hey, you know what? It just went down $7,000 instead of it going up 25,000. So I'm
looking forward to that phone call from you, Garrett.
Exactly. It is though. It's I've been in this lumber industry a long time, and I'm paying more for yellow pine right now than I used to pay for cedar 2 years ago. And it's just I don't see an end in sight on some of this stuff. It's going up. I don't think we're going to see the rapid increases like we've seen over the last 6 months. But then again, what happened with panels, we saw a bigger increase this time than we've seen over the last 6 months at one lump sum time. You know, it's gradually gone up, but this time it was just, it hit everybody, you know, just being everybody off the market.
Yeah, I tell you, there's a lot of us guys on here that do the, the custom build stuff. It's definitely scary trying to quote a house. The only thing that's helpful is that, people are hearing this all over the news and everywhere. So it's not like they feel like you're trying to price gouge. They realize that, it's just the market and it's what's going on. It's definitely the Wild West now. So,
well, and I've been telling them, sorry, Michael, I thought that you were done.
Yeah.
I've been actually telling everybody, it's kind of like appliances, kind of like lighting fixtures, plumbing fixtures. Hey, let's start at this budget number, but it still needs to be an allowance if there's any way possible. I mean, that's just the scary part about it. I don't think anybody's ever done lumber as an allowance in their careers. And I think just to cover your butt on some of these jobs, it's almost has to be an allowance based on the market. And I mean, you can pull up article after article after article, and you can explain that to a customer. Nobody's happy about it. But then again, I guess the only thing that is our saving grace right now is interest rates are low.
Yeah.
Say a house goes up 20 grand, the payment went up $10. I mean, that's the only positive note out of any of this. But I think if interest rates move, I think we're all in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, I think we'll see some market correction for there, and sure, as demand starts to slow down. So, all right, I feel like we should have done this Zoom meeting around 5 o'clock, where we can all have a drink and wallow in the misery of what the pricing is. So, but like I said, the blessing out of this is everybody's busy, and we're with interest rates where we are, where a lot of our clients are able to absorb these price increases. And keep us all busy and keep things going. So, all right, let's talk about some different maybe product innovations, and if we see any new technologies coming. John, one thing in the in the drywall industry, and I think this was, I'm an old timer now. Back when we were building in the probably 90s, early 2000s, nobody primed anything, and then something changed in the paper or something on drywall, but the manufacturers never said anything changed. And pretty soon we all had to start priming everything. Do you see any kind of new technologies coming from any of the drywall manufacturers to where maybe that drywall is a little bit smoother or slicker, to where you don't get as much shadowing if you don't prime drywall?
Well, the reason you didn't have to have issues with shadowing or joint photographing back in the day is because you shot popcorn on ceilings and put splatter drag on walls. The purpose of texture is to cover all that stuff up. It's always been there. It's not a drywall problem or a paper problem. What's happening is the drywall paper and the joint compound absorb moisture at different rates. So the texture that's applied to the joint compound, it actually shrinks a little bit more than the texture that's on the paper. That's what causes the shadowing. When you prime with a drywall primer before texture, you now have a uniform surface that absorbs at a more even rate that eliminates that. So the reason you're having to prime more now than you were back before is you've got people are going to light orange peel texture, or they're going to no texture. And because of that, that's the lighter textures let more boo-boo show through, basically. Another thing to keep in mind, I think Daryl spoke about this, was the orientation of your house. If you have a house that's going to have a southern exposure, you're going to be at a higher risk for joint shadowing, photographing. Sun reflects off of a flat work patio, and it comes in and hits the great room ceiling, and you can see everything on that ceiling. So unfortunately for all the home builders, it's how it is now. It's the way the decorative trends have gone. And you know, all the manufacturers, all their guidelines say from level 3 up should be primed. They recommend priming. The problem is nobody wants to pay for it. And you know, I get it. Now, I think 99% of the world, John Q. public that goes into a house, when they're buying that house, they never notice, you know, joints or any drywall. As a matter of fact, they see the cabinets and countertops and carpet and the bling, as I call it, but it's later on down the road when the drywall issues and the paint issues rear their ugly heads. So, yeah.
I tell them to put a lot of artwork on the walls, and that'll help.
Area rugs is the new thing, but yeah, it's, you know, the short answer is builders need to know their customers. They need to know their expectations. And, you know, that's honestly a conversation they need to be having with their painter and their drywall contractor. If, you know, the drywall guy has no clue what kind of paint's going on that house. He had not a clue.
You bring up some good points, and a lot of it is just client education and kind of letting them know. Exactly. You know, we put a lot bigger windows in closer to the ceiling, you know, a lot more as well too. So, all right, I'm going to try to get to some of these client questions we've got that came in here. Mark, Dan, I think I got you the answers to both of those questions right here. Sean Parsons has got a couple of questions, and these are for Garrett. You know, obviously there's some areas that are hot markets, you know, Dallas and Houston, some of those areas. You know, maybe there's some areas around the country that markets aren't quite as busy. It seems like that would help kind of supply and demand. And then other thing too, I've heard talk about are, you know, maybe we think outside the box, and instead of yellow pine, you know, yellow pine and fir, you know, are there alternative materials or maybe stuff coming from other countries that could help take care of these supply and demand issues? You hear of any kind of products like that, Garrett?
Well, we did see a little bit of it back, I would say January, February, when Hardie was having such an issue with their products. We were actually receiving Hardie products from all the way from Illinois because they weren't using it as fast as we were here. But we were still paying the same price from Hardie, but now all those sources have been depleted because now they're as busy as we are. They just weren't as busy back then. And that's one product that's really hurt a lot of people is I mean, you can go down to Corsicana and down Waxahachie, and there used to be a 4 or 5 acre lot that used to be stacked 15, 16 feet in the air full of hardy. You go down there now and it's empty. We were seeing some of that stuff coming from other parts of the United States. Like I said, a lot of it came from Illinois just because it was slower in the winter. With that, we used to get a lot of Doug fir coming from Oregon. When those forest fires hit Oregon, it pretty much shut that whole market down completely. And they're fighting now, all the people up there that really don't like all of us cutting down their trees. So there is some alternative, products. We were able to buy, timber strand, LVL studs and everything like that to try to almost keep up with the regular stud market. But now you can't even find any of that stuff anymore. And that market's now gone up 30, 40% based on usage and not being able to get material. Alternative materials based on that, I mean, you will get lucky every now and then to get some hem fir, get some Doug fir. But in our market here, you really want to steer clear of some of that stuff just based on span charts and stuff that we're accustomed to here. You get into some of that hem fir stuff and some of the white firs, it just doesn't span near as much. And you get into some of the heaps that we're fixing to see, it blows it all apart.
Gotcha. All right, good information. Misty, are we out of time there, or Richard, or?
Hey, it looks like we got, we're coming up on it. Got about 4 minutes till
Okay.
the top of the hour.
Let me throw one back down to Daryl here. Daryl, what do you see as far as new and innovative coming in the in the window market? Anything we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, good question. I think we're continuing to see the farmhouse and modern designs that are going to continue. And I may have mentioned earlier just some of the interior and exterior trends that are coming. We just launched a blog on our website for that for folks to go to, Endless Expressions, where you can kind of get some of the latest design trends. We continue to see the mix of the materials from the outside to inside, coming into play more as we move ahead. From a product standpoint, the divided light pattern, typically on a modern farmhouse, you're going to have 2 wide, 2 high divided lights, so that trend is still here. The 1 wide, 3 high patterns that we're seeing on these customs that are kind of that modern look, that's still happening. And, still a lot of 1 light, obviously fixed windows with a very limited, vent. We are seeing the outdoor, indoor living more so. We have a lot of big doors here, but the big door trend is people are trying to bring the outside in. So I don't know if we have any pool folks on the call, but you could ask those guys. And any type of work like that is allowing. We're seeing it even on the remodel side. We're tearing into houses and putting 30-foot doors in. That multi-slide and stacking type doors. So we're seeing that trend continue, and that's been here, the big door piece, but we're seeing that more even on the remodel side. So.
I quote those a lot for people too. I tell them that those big stacking units are awesome when we get 1 week of spring and 1 week of fall, when you can open those up and enjoy them. So, all right, I think we're getting close to the top of the hour. I'll give Richard just a minute or two to tie things up for us. But really appreciate all of our panelists being on here. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. We appreciate your support of the Builders Association. And you guys are the backbone of the industry, and we appreciate you being part of it. And thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thanks very much for being the moderator today. Thanks to all of our panelists, Garrett, Eric, Oscar, John, and Daryl. Thank you for your insight and for making time for us. And just want to remind everybody that we are going to be in person in June at our first back in person meeting at Maggiano's. So please join us for that, and y'all have a great day.